What a journey.
What a journey. What a way to start.
Welcome to life
Welcome to the Bear Collective.
podcast. Thank you for listening, watching, viewing, or subscribing.
Yes. Yeah.
Say that up front.
Love it.
Talk to me. We just filmed an episode which hopefully is dropped before this one.
Yes. We'll make sure of it.
We have control of it. But about your spiritual journey, and then we've come off that episode and just felt like we want to dive into that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I could have talked for days on this topic right now.
And maybe not even deeper, but drawing it back to basic and making it kind of more seen and applicable to people who are definitely starting out in this space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about kind of manifesting, and I mean, what's your view of manifesting out there that the general population sees, or that what they think it is versus like what it's not?
I mean,
or how they're doing it.
This is interesting.
Perceptions are being wrong.
Why don't I talk to versus other people? Because I'm grateful that I see a lot of people who this is something that they're deeply invested in, and I feel they're doing it like in this deep way that you're wanting to speak to.
The starter pack.
The starter pack. I'll actually tell you what I first did, and had forgotten about until quite recently, where my version of manifesting my husband was writing a list of all the qualities I wanted in a husband or in my life partner. And that's all I did. And I put it under my pillow, and then I was like, this is going to work. And it did. However,
was it a one-time thing?
Yes.
That you just did it?
Yes.
Okay. And you were just in a space also, I think this is really important. You were in a space to sit and write that in, or was it?
Yeah, but it flowed.
You were ready?
I was ready.
Ready. I think that's the key.
But ready, if you weren't ready and were desperately from wounding, wanting your life partner, and you wrote that list, I guarantee it wouldn't work.
Cool. I love that, because that speaks to where are you manifesting from. Your energetic space is super important when it comes to actually, I think, getting it right and things coming to fruition and things coming into alignment versus it not.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. So that's how I believe, like, without people who have really looked into this, if you're just taking a few like quick hacks off social media,
the old tickety talk,
you are probably that's cute. You are probably manifesting from a wound, from that energy of desperation, from survival, from a part of you that's craving survival, versus from, the depth, your real essence, your aligned energy.
Interesting. What came up for me then is the minute you mentioned kind of like survival energy versus aligned energy. Now, I've done this right and I've done this wrong.
Yeah.
In survival energy, so when we think about survival, it is you meeting your basic human needs. It is having a place to live. It's having a stable job. It's having food on the table. It's having, stable relationships, basic things that are good. If any of those are kind of trickled or upset, it puts you into that stress response, that anxiousness, that desperate energy and things like that we've talked about. Now, you can actually manifest from that state. However, it requires a level of self-awareness and a level of consciousness.
That you're in that state?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. So not blindly from desperation going like, okay, just give me this, give me that, give me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, explain it for people. How do we do it from awareness, from consciousness?
It is being self-aware that, say for example, you've just lost your job, right? And you've lost your job, you have bills to pay, your rent is due, you might have mouths to feed, you've got expenses that you're paying for. And when you're in that survival state, it's about feeling into your energy. Am I feeling like stressed? Am I feeling anxious? Are your thoughts racing? If you're spending a lot of that time in what am I going to do? How am I going to get through this? Who am I going to tell? How do I need to, like the thoughts are going into that panic state, right? If you're trying to then go from that straight into, okay, so I want this job that looks like this, and I only want to work this, and I want it to have this culture, and I want this type of boss and these type of employees. Like when you're in that state, that's being inside that energy, that's when it doesn't work.
Yes. Because my guess is you would then just draw in more of that same energy.
Yeah. Energy flows where your attention goes. So that's where your attention is held. So being aware and self-aware, it is actually regulating yourself into, okay, this is my situation. It's putting it into awareness. It's putting it into an observational point. So imagine that you had a glass house or a glass room, and you were looking in on yourself in that situation and that energy, right? You're looking at yourself inside that glass house going, okay, you've lost your job, you're needing a new job. There's a bit of what people call an emotional detachment, okay? It's still you, but you're viewing yourself from an observational lens. Your body will be more in a calm, regulated state.
Yeah, yes.
So when you're in there, you can go into, it's a bit of the logic. What do I actually want? And asking yourself the right questions. What do I want? What does this look like? How do I want to feel? And then manifesting from that state and calling in. You're in a more regulated, grounded state in your body. It's not as frantic.
Yeah.
Even though your situation feels like you're in survival.
Yeah, you're not blended and speaking from that part of you that's in survival and needing survival.
Yeah.
You're from the observer role.
Yeah. There's an awareness that you're in survival. And there's, okay, how do I actually get out of that? So you need a different part of yourself to be like,
how can I give that part what it needs from a more grounded place?
Yeah. And that's where a bit of that logic comes in, because the other part's all in the emotion, right? They're in the body, they're in the feels. So that's how you blend those both. That's your mind and your body kind of happening in those two separate spaces. When you can do that sitting down, for me, I think writing it out really helps.
Yes.
Because I can actually also, you're writing, you're slowing down your brain to consciously think about what you want versus just, having a million thoughts, which can just like race, and there's not really that deeper connection to them. Yes. But then you can also reflect and literally see on the paper what you've written, and you kind of will either feel a bit repelled about what you just wrote and go, really? Do I? Do I want
Is that what I want?
Yeah, and allows you to adjust and be really clear on what you want there.
Yes, the good old writing to slow it down. Yeah.
So that's where I see that you can manifest from survival state, but also where you might be manifesting from survival state that it ain't happening for you.
Yes. And that's a lovely way to like help people, start. Great stepping stone. Yeah.
And then from there, when you're in alignment, when your survival needs are met, if you go, what is it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, when you look at that, when those basic needs are met, that's when you can start kind of going up a bit more into the woo.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes, we just keep climbing up to there. We're just going. It's just up.
Yeah. And I love that you opened up with speaking about writing a list for your husband.
Yes.
Which all came to fruition. And that is, I have a little story that we'll talk to. Yes. But I want to ask you, where were you at in life? Like roughly how old were you? What was the state? What was like, because it's also a decision right? You have a clear decision to kind of say, I'm going to write this list.
Yes.
Because I believe if I write this list, so there's a decision, there's a belief, and there's action.
So
there's no self-doubt. There's no like second guessing. It's like, I'm making this shit happen.
Yes.
In that moment of a clear decision, writing that list.
So I was in my late 20s, roughly 28, 28, 29 somewhere. I had been single-ish. It was a really complicated time. I'd been seeing people fairly non-committed. Like I was committed in some ways, but there was overseas travel involved, all sorts of dynamics that weren't what I would term full commitment from either party for like a good year or two. And I was really just...
Well, ladies, they should know within 6 months if they want to be with you or not.
Correct.
And be in a...
And they were...
Yes.
Just terrible at communicating it and then taking action for it. Yep. And so there was this like timeline of...
Red flag.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Lots of red flags. So this is where I guess also words and actions really have to align. To anyone waiting for someone to come back from overseas.
We don't wait for potential.
No. So what ended up happening then was I was just in this place of like, I am done with like waiting around, or like I've figured out what I want. They're just not here.
So I love
There's
that.
pieces of them in everything.
Yeah.
In all around me, I see pieces of what I'm looking for, but I am not seeing what I'm looking for in one
but it's
package.
not a whole. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that though, but that's the actual moment where you've literally had that body reaction moment where you've gone, I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah.
I'm seeing this, but I'm not this. I need all of this together. What I want is all of this together.
Yes.
Not all these little individual pieces scattered everywhere.
Exactly. I knew that, that where I was at wasn't bringing me like the love I was looking for, the joy I was looking for. And I decided it was time to change what I was doing to receive that. Because there were like, I was absolutely blocking that from coming in as well. Yeah.
So what's really important that we spoke about in the last episode was readiness. So you just mentioned there where you've obviously had that I'm done, enough is enough feeling inside your body.
Yes.
And you've made that decision. You've sat and you've wrote this list, and you just had full... Would I be correct in saying that you had just full belief in
it was
list?
coming. It was coming.
Yeah.
And I'd been told by two people who had tried it previously, it had worked, and very quickly. And so I also just had this faith, this blind faith almost, that it would work.
Trusted those people.
I trusted those people.
The people, I think that's important to note as well, because that's where sometimes the disconnect can come from the tickety talk, is that you don't actually know those people and they're putting out this stuff. And unless you're really following someone for a long time in their journey, that you build what you feel like is a trust through that, because you've seen through someone's journey on social media through a long time, even by proximity of their life and their authenticity and things coming true and things not happening for them. When you see both, then you can build a trust in that way to what they're saying.
Yes.
But obviously in reality, in the real world, so with people around you, you obviously trusted what they said, and that's what also enabled your faith and your trust that, and you had evidence from them, obviously, in their situations that had happened, and so you took that. Yes.
And there was also an element of not riding on it working out.
Yeah.
Like I always knew I would find I wasn't so attached to it that if it didn't work, I would have been distraught and had a complete, mental breakdown and shamed myself and, took on what's wrong with me. I really was open to it not working as well. And I'm just grateful that it did.
Yeah. I think also what's happened in that, which is such an important lesson, is you got specific about the relationship and the person that you wanted. So also you knew and had decided within yourself. So this is kind of where the manifesting, it's not sitting on the couch and, waiting for it to happen. When you have gone out and met people or dated or put yourself out there, it's like this list was unconsciously, maybe some parts consciously, but unconsciously within you.
Yes. After years of experimentation.
Yeah, to figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Yes. Yes, so I'm not just waking up one day and going, what do I want? Like it took me years to get here.
Yeah.
Or there. Because I'm not there anymore. It's very different.
Yeah. So I want to talk to my little story on because we're going into like the woo-woo side of it and the manifestation. So I think that's been really a great example of, again, where it goes right and where it goes wrong when people are manifesting. I think there's already been so much juiciness in this conversation already.
Yes.
Where this played out for me, I actually went to a family Christmas. It was like a little side Christmas. I was meeting with a family member who was bringing along a partner for the first time. I had never met this female before, and we just had a lovely conversation at this little Christmas gathering. And it was towards the end of the year that my mother had passed away, so I was just in a very different space emotionally, but also just very open, having an appreciation for how precious life is, and just very open, which is what we've spoken about before here. And anyway, it started out with she was studying to do palmistry, doing palm readings.
Fun.
And, having lost a parent and appreciating life, it was like, okay, how do I want to live my life? I want to do some things just for shits and giggles that when I have grandkids, I can sit there and tell them stories. Oh, this one time, I had a palm reading and they said this, just for fun. And that's where my openness was. It was in a fun state, wasn't in a skeptical state. Anyway, she read my palm, said some things that were so aligned. I'd never met this person before. And at the end, she kind of went, do you have any questions? And I was like, oh, what about my love life? We all want to know about love life, money, career, right?
Yeah.
The basics.
Yeah.
So I was like, what about my love life? She's just looked at me and she said, you're not going to like what I have to say, but it's 3 years. And I was like, oh, 3 years? I'm like, is there anything I can do to shorten that time? And basically she gave me some advice that I could do, some kind of practices and rituals that I could do that could shorten that time. And I could shorten it by about 12 to 18 months. Well, within 18 months, I met somebody by doing these practices. And anyway, along life's journey, I met a friend at a workplace, went to her bachelorette party, met a girl. She'd asked me previously before, and she said, look, my cousin's coming in. She doesn't know anyone in this group. Do you mind spending some time with her and just making her feel welcome? And I was like, yeah, sure. Anyone who knows me, I'm a bit of a collector and like to make people feel welcome. And so when her cousin came in, she'd kind of gone around the group and introduced everyone, and I was the last person that she was introducing. Just happened to be where we were standing in the circle. So I'd watched her kind of meet everyone and say hello, and then before she'd even fully said hello to me, she said, I have a message for you. Are you open to receiving it? And I was like, okay. Again, just being, open, and I guess in that kind of fun, playful state. And I was intrigued, and she said, it's about your husband. And I was like, okay. And she said, their name starts with this letter. And I was like, I was in a relationship. And I was like, no, it doesn't. And I was thinking through like the letters, first name, middle name, like last name. I was like, no, it doesn't. And I was like, oh, that's the same letter as my mum's name. Maybe like you're sensing my mum, she recently passed. And she's like, no, she was very clear. She's like, no, it's the letter of your husband. And she also pointed out where he was from, which he wasn't Australian born. Pointed out directly where he was from, and a couple of other things like his star sign, like just all these things that I was like, okay, well, I'm in a relationship with someone and these are not lining up. I'm trying to make them match. And so anyway, I received the information and I just let it be. I was like, okay, that was fun and interesting. Again, that non-attachment to it. There was curiousness. There was obviously some playfulness. And this, like, as women, we have this little like, oh, fantasy. Like, what does this mean? What is that about? Like, who could it be? Like, what's
Yes, I want to meet
like,
them.
Yeah. Anyway, natural progression, this relationship that I was in at that time didn't work out. And at the 3-year mark, the 3 years from that palm reading, I was about 1 month post the breakup of the relationship that I was in. And when I had that breakup, I had this feeling, literally all I can say is it felt like a tapping on my heart that said 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. And I'm like, no, I'm the kind of girl that needs, space and time. I want to process that relationship and what lessons I need to learn and integrate for myself, so that I don't go into another relationship with that wounding or healing from that wounding, not the healing, the wounding from that relationship. But it just kept going 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. And I end up meeting said person. And this was during the pandemic, and I was thinking, like, how do you meet someone in a pandemic? Anyway, all the alignment was there. We were in a relationship and we ended up breaking up. They had gone overseas. They'd been headhunted for a job. The overseas thing, there's that connection.
Oh, mate. Sometimes I almost feel like sometimes they're pretty right, but they get pulled away for reasons like to ensure you're open and ready for that next person. Potentially. That's my little theory.
Yeah. So
take it or leave it.
Yeah. So, yeah, the overseas had kind of separated us a bit, and I just still had this feeling within my body and within my heart that this was my person. And I went and did some coaching with a coach, and I also went and did a particular course, more of a spiritual course and relationship-based course. And within that, there was an element of calling in, having moments where each week we would do a practice, and within that practice, a part of that was calling something in, looking for, getting that sign. And I was hesitant. This course went for 11 weeks. I was super hesitant about writing something about, is this person that I really felt and still had that connection with within myself. I didn't want to get rejected from that. So I was super hesitant about making that into my practice or my signs within this course. But I did do it on 3 occasions within there to kind of like test this universe and these signs and what we were calling in.
And would you say also see if it was for you? Like see if it aligned for you?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing when you're manifesting or when you're calling in something or looking for a sign, it's not kind of a dictatorial, like this must happen.
Yes.
But there is clarity.
Yes.
So it's more of a case of being clear. So it was being clear on who the person was. However, it was, if this is meant to be, if this is right for me, then I wanted to see a specific sign. And so a lot of signs people do are like typical, like, I want to see a feather, or like what's other ones easy? I want to see a feather, or I want to see a rainbow,
different,
or
but like butterflies, dragonflies, different types of
numbers. There's very like universal ones.
Animals, yeah.
So again, drilling down and getting specific on the sign has been a huge lesson in this that I've also learnt and also recently come back home to. And so anyway, this person came from a Spanish speaking background. So I was like, okay, it was in the pandemic, remember? So you weren't allowed to leave the house apart from like your local 5 kilometers radius for a walk. So I was like, okay, I want to hear people speaking Spanish as my sign.
Random sign.
Yeah, but specific. And where I live, that's just not common, right? And I live in Australia as well. Like people aren't walking around speaking Spanish, right?
Yeah.
We're speaking English. Like that's our language here. So then I thought to myself, Larissa, you're not going to know that it's Spanish because you don't speak Spanish.
Maybe some words. You might, maybe.
I was like, unless it was like, you know,
so classic.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Or buenos días or something like super simple. If I'm walking past someone speaking Spanish, I'm not going to know whether it's Spanish or Portuguese or some other language, Italian, that just sounds great. So I was like, okay, I need to get more specific.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I want to see it in words very simply, like hola, which is, you know, the word for hello, like something simple or something Spanish written.
Okay.
So anyway, I go out for this walk and I decided on this day randomly not to take my phone. Pandemic, like
just get out in nature.
But also what's going to happen? There's nobody out on the roads. There's like everyone's at home. Like what's, you know, there's not really the reason you carry your phone mainly, I think, is you think there's an emergency that's going to happen. So I was like, what can actually happen? So anyway, I start walking and then it starts sprinkling rain and I'm like, this is real inconvenient to be raining right now. Do I go back or do I keep walking? And I was like, just keep walking. Like, it's just rain. You can go home and have a shower. So I kept walking and I was probably about 10 to 15 minutes into my walk. And I'm walking down the street and I see that, you know, people are doing some clear outs of, you know, stuff in their home. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just keep, you know, pondering along. And I get halfway down this particular really steep hill. I'm on the downward incline though. So I've got to do the upward incline on the way back. But I get halfway down and I look at this black and white picture of a male and a female who, from nationality and hair coloring and skin coloring perspective, represented literally myself and this person at that time. And then I looked down the bottom of that picture, and black and white's our favorite color, right? So yours and mine.
Yes.
So we need the message to be black and white, clear as day. It doesn't need color. It needs to be very direct.
It's black and white.
It's black. It's literally, it was pictured in black and white. At the bottom of this picture was the country, the actual place, and the town that he lived.
Crazy.
And was born.
Crazy.
And I was like, can you get any more specific of a Spanish sign than this?
Yes, you can't. I don't think you can.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, no one's going to believe me. I need to go back home and get my phone and take a picture of this to have that memory that I literally wrote that in a journal with a date, called that in. I've seen this.
Yeah.
No one's going to believe me if I need evidence. So I ran back, got my phone, came back, took a picture of it, and continued on my walk. And it just sat with me. I was like, this just feels like if this is there when I am walking back, I'm just going to clean this up and take it home. I live in a nice area, so it was fine.
Yeah.
So I took that picture back and I had that on my wall until recently.
And you can all guess why.
But it was that I, again, when we have relationships too, obviously with what you've just said, Yes, we broke up. However, people come in for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yes.
And it can be everything you need it to be for why you're here and what your purpose is and what you
Yes.
need to learn.
Yes.
Similar to what you were saying, where you'd had these relationships, you learn what you like, what you don't like, but you learn a lot about people in and of themselves.
And yourself.
And that growth that you need. And again, going back to our previous episode, like lineage things that you need to work through, which was one of these relationships. It was very much that karmic lineage kind of relationship that I need to learn. So that was just super interesting. But then there were also two other things that I called in, and I'm just more speaking to how specific the signs are and calling those in if they're right for you. And again, what I was asking for is if this relationship is right for me.
Yes.
Then bring it back in. And yeah, the relationship, it came back in and we got back together, and yes, we're broken up. It's great. And it's a good thing. But the second one that blew my mind was, yes, people ask for feathers. And so I was like, yeah, I can see cockatoo feathers that are white, and, you know, most bird feathers, a lot of bird feathers are white or black. So I was like, okay, I want a colored feather. I was like, I didn't, where I live, I don't really see colored birds. I see a lot of magpies, a lot of cockatoos, but, and colored, by that, I didn't mean brown either. Like, what are they, sparrows or?
Oh, I have no idea.
What do you mean?
I know I'm such a bird lady, but I actually don't know. Because I don't have any brown birds around here.
Yeah, so see, like, so when I had called in, you know, just for people listening that might think it's common, I didn't have a coloured, like that coloured bird. It was very just
no lorikeets near your house.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
And again, where I live, there's not a lot of, even though I've got beautiful like palm trees outside, those palm trees don't really call in birds. They're not kind of giving them like fruit or things to like get from a palm tree. So anyway, I again went on a walk, and I literally went on an hour walk. I came back. As I came back, my neighbor came out of her house and she was like, oh, I'm going to go on a walk. Do you want to join me? And I was like, I've just been. Yeah, all right. Like, I'll go. Again, pandemic time, entertainment, have a bit of a chat. So as we left where I live, as we left the place, which I had just walked and came back, I stepped outside the front gate, turned right, and there was a green and yellow feather sitting right out the front. And I would not have seen that. I didn't see it coming in and out when I just did the walk, but if I had not chosen to go on that walk as well, I would not have seen that. So I think that one was wild. And the last one was, I have a particular place that I walk to connect with my mum, in particular, like rock down by a waterway inside nature, where I speak to her. And anyway, again, one of my signs, again, about the relationship, but I was playing with the idea of being skeptical, but also being really clear and specific on signs, because I was afraid to be like, let's do a colored feather instead of a white feather, because white feathers are generic, which means I'm going to more likely see that, which means it'll validate what I want to come true.
Yes.
If I ask for a colored one, which I don't see, then I fear that I won't get what I am manifesting, or that I won't get what I desire. I'll be rejected literally by the color of not seeing a feather. So I went down to this waterway, and my sign that I'd requested, again, inside of the pandemic, was money. Now, inside the pandemic, what did we do? We went from being cash-based to very much, they really enforced cardless, card-based.
Card payments,
card
yes.
payments.
Yeah, cashless.
Cashless.
We became more of a cashless society.
Yes, correct. So I was like, that's going to be hard to find. Or whenever do you see like money just, you know, it'd been years since I had seen, since we got the tap and pay, but also on the phones and the watches and the rings and all that kind of stuff that can do it all for us now. Like, when is the last time that I physically had exchanged cash? and it had been years, which also kind of shocked me and made me question things. But so I was like, okay, I'm asking for money. And again, when people are not out and about because they're stuck in home. So I went for a walk, went down to this rock, and it's this big rock, but sitting on top of it this one time when I went down, and it was about 2 weeks after, which we'll get to the detachment part of manifesting. It was about 2 weeks after I had written this specific sign that I wanted to see. On top of the rock, there was like another little rock, and underneath it was this, like from a distance, looked like this white piece of paper. And as I got closer and closer, I actually saw it was an American $100 bill sitting under this rock. And I was like,
I have to laugh.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, and I looked around and I was like, is somebody pranking me? That's what it felt like. I was like, surely there's somebody's pranking me. Someone's left this here. They're trying to see if I'm a good Samaritan.
Yes. Where's
we'll
the
like
camera?
hand it back. Yeah. Like, where's the camera? Anyway, so I was like, after I'd done my looking around, I put that $100 in my little side pocket of my pants, my gym pants. And I was just sitting there and I just, was having a chat with my mum, just being like, what the heck? I had 3 signs I've been so specific on. And I was just overcome in a sense with this excited emotion of how specific those signs would be and how they'd came to fruition, and then what that potentially meant for what I was, calling these signs in for. Anyway, fun part of the story. I walk home. Just as I put the key into my front door, I'm like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. So I was like, I don't want to like drop that $100 bill anywhere in the bathroom. So I was like, I pulled out that $100 bill and I opened it up fully because it was slightly folded over. I opened it up fully and found out it was Monopoly money.
I love that. Still money.
Correct.
Still money.
Correct. So I didn't say that it wasn't allowed to be play money.
No, you didn't.
I said money.
Yeah. This is how specific we can get with our manifesting,
Correct.
right? And our signs.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I slightly felt duped because I was like, oh, $100 to put into, like, I've got money from when I've traveled, you have that cash left over from different countries. So I was like, oh, cool. $100 will like be workable when I go traveling again after this pandemic. So I was stoked. And then I was like, I got gypped. But then also I was like, how funny, because it's play money, but it's literal. It literally is money.
Yeah. Someone had a sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. With it. Clearly not specific enough. So yeah. Anyway, like we've kind of mentioned, that relationship did come back into fruition. I believe it was what it was. We will talk to this at some stage when I'm ready.
I'm hanging out.
Yeah, because there is lots to unpack. It'll be a multi-episode thing.
Yeah,
there's lots to
might be a whole season.
I love our laugh when we know.
We promise we'll let you in one day, guys. Just hold out. Hold out. Get us to 100 subscribers, and if Larissa's ready, we'll do it.
Maybe that's it.
I'm putting that out there.
Okay, that's it.
That's the sign that Larissa is meant to open up about this relationship.
That's when you guys are going to get the tea. Oh my gosh, is it tea?
If we drop to 100, oh my gosh, just from this, I'll be like, the world need it.
Yeah.
And the world really do need a lot of what Larissa learned, actually.
Does need.
Whatever. I really, cannot enforce that enough.
Yeah, look, Jazzy and I have been talking about it for a little while. It's something that there's a space and a time to share. I think it's a really important, there's several layers, several messages to it that I think are deeply interesting, and especially for women, and so many kind of just warning signs and just so many layers to it.
Yeah.
That does need to be heard.
Yes.
So get us to 100
Get us to 100.
because It is wild. Like, this is part of the beginning of it. This is a little of how it kind of called in.
Barely even a taste.
Yeah.
There's so much background to this story of Larissa's that I feel privileged to know because of our friendship, that like you're not even hearing in this, and it's adding so much of a layer for me, but does not make sense to open up about in this particular episode.
No, it's multi-episode. Yeah, so one part that I want to dive into with it is when I was being specific about this particular practice and requesting these specific signs to, again, call in what I was looking for in that relationship, if it was the right thing for me. Again, it wasn't a dictatorial thing of this has to happen. It was if it is right for me, then X, Y, Z. And this is the sign that I'm looking for, this specific, as that kind of confirmation. Again, in this 11-week program, I only did it 3 times. I didn't want to do it every single week. I did other manifestation things within that week and got signs called in, and some I didn't. And I think that's important to note as well, because those things are not aligned for you, or there's something better. However, when you're writing these signs, so what happens is, and I'm sure most of you will be able to relate to this, is like you write it down, and like if you're, especially like when you're calling in love or relationship stuff, and you get in that, like, you're not in desperate energy, you're in like love energy and openness energy to receive, it feels real good. And just that desire and that yearning of that feels really, really good. And knowing, I think it's coupled with the knowing that it's, and the belief that it's going to happen for you. And by for you as well, I want to go back to what you were saying, where it's knowing it's for you. So knowing that that particular relationship was for me or better. And that's the part of being okay if it wasn't that specific person, because it would have made sense if it was better and I was in a different relationship. It would have been, oh, this is better for me. This makes sense why that didn't come to fruition in that way, because I'm asking for what I would like to receive or better. No one wants what they want to receive or worse.
No.
So it's what I want to receive or better.
Yeah, good clarification.
Yeah, so it's not always that you get what you want. It can look different from what you want because it's better
for you. Yeah.
That obviously when you're in those feels and it feels good, you've asked for a specific sign, you start to go looking for the signs. So no shit, when I'm going out walking, I'm like looking at the ground for the green feather or the colored feather. I'm like searching for it, right?
Yeah.
So again, when you're manifesting, the place and the energy that you're coming from, if you are doing it from an aligned place, it will come for you. You don't need to go looking for it. You don't need to go looking for that validation.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you go searching for it, that's when you're actually in a resistant state of it happening. You're in that desperate energy. Now, yes, I looked for it for that kind of like that 2 days, because I was actually not in desperate energy. I was in excitement of like wanting to find it and call it in. And because I'd had the validation of the other sign that I'd received with that picture, the black and white picture.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, like I'm so curious to see more so if the sign happens again, because it was so specific. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks later that feather actually appeared.
Right.
Because there was a space of like you go in looking for it, and then you've got to literally release it and accept and trust that the what will be.
Yeah.
That it will happen for you. So when I was least expecting it,
yes,
it showed up.
Yeah, of course.
So that's that detachment. It's not in my conscious awareness. It's sitting in my unconscious. I've asked for it. I've called it in. And I have a trust and a knowing in my body that what is meant for me in that sense will be or better.
Yes.
And so when I did that, and I let go and I just started living my everyday life, still taking action in my everyday life, doing my rituals,
even
doing my
choosing
calling.
to go for walks, right? Like,
You know,
because if you decided to
choosing
just kick back on the
life.
couch
Correct.
and wait for it to
Which
happen.
would have been very easy in COVID, right? You know, still continuing to live my life and be the person that I wanted to be, but also that I needed to be, because you also need to be a match for what you're calling in.
Yes.
This is the self-work. You can't just sit on the couch and call in this like amazing thing and think that you're ready to receive it. That's as well why a lot of people don't receive their manifestations, is because they're not continuing to live their life and their growth to be the match for what they're calling in.
So true. And when we're not ready, when we're not in that space, when we're not aligned, the synchronicities just won't happen. The energy isn't going to attract to us because we're actually repelling that energy by not taking action that's aligned with, I guess, what we want that future self, that future life to look like.
Yeah.
That other person to look like.
Yeah. Or that job, or that.
Yes. That bank account.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. Yeah. That's a really important piece.
Yeah.
And I just so enjoy these stories.
I think, and I hope that this episode, it's made it super relatable and just taken it down to the basics of where maybe in your journey, if you're diving into it or you've tried it before and you felt like it hasn't worked for you, hopefully you've got some clarity as to why it is or isn't within that situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this has really given a lot of juice.
So much juice. And one final line.
So much clarity.
So much clarity. And one final line I want to add, and I'm basing this off, you know, where we started a little bit with the manifestation of my husband, who I'm still married to and love deeply.
And who's an awesome chef.
He's a
Shout out.
Good chef.
Shout out, Christopher.
I was open and ready to meet him, and he showed up at a time and in a place where I actually wasn't expecting it, like what you spoke to. And we had such a beautiful start to our relationship.
I think we've covered up on your relationship start before.
We have. And a lot.
What episode is that? You need to go back and listen to that. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious though.
And that doesn't mean the work ends there. Like I've manifested it, I've received it, it's here. Done. It's the same as where you can't just sit on the couch and wait for what you're manifesting to happen. Even if you receive what you've manifested, it takes work, and it continues to take work to keep manifesting and keep those synchronicities alive and keep that energy in the place and space that it needs to be.
Yeah, that's where it comes back down into, you've got to continue to evolve.
Yes.
As a person, continue to grow, continue to be a seeker of learning yourself.
Yeah, we can't reiterate this enough.
Yeah. Like, it is a lifelong journey.
Yes.
It is not it's one and done. It is not a just in your 20s, just in your 30s kind of thing.
It's a lifestyle.
It is for your evolution. I mean, for life, if you're 80 years old, you're not the same as when you were 10.
No.
You've learnt so much more about the world. You've experienced so much. Those life experiences, learnings, they're going to change you. And yeah, you can either evolve with that, or you can sit living and talking about the past. Yeah. Yeah. We all know those people.
Yeah, just
talk about things that happened 20 years ago that they still haven't let go or evolved from. Same stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So happy manifesting. If you're not ready to bring it in yet, get listening to our other episodes. And if you want to hear about Larissa's story, get us to 100 subscribers. Tell your friends. We don't care who it is. We do hope they listen. But I really just want this story out there.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.
Bye.